That's amazing. What was it like, just like culturally? Was this like when you got to Cameroon? And I know you also studied in India. I can ask a few questions about that. But when you got to Cameroon, what was the thing that really stood out, and for you to just be cautious about, uh, that sort of fully integrate into society? How was the process like to learn along the way?
Yeah. So as far as integrating into society, I think like, for example, culturally, I'm sure that you experienced this being in Massachusetts, but the concept of time is huge, where, for example, in the US, everyone's quick, quick, quick. In the communities in Cameroon, we would start meetings like 4 hours late, you know? So there were things like that that was culturally just like, oh, even though we have this tight packed schedule where we have 8 scheduled events, we're only going to do 3 and we have to accept that. So um, things like that, and understanding those basic principles of like time is different here, the way that people argue is different, the way that people negotiate is different, right? When there was an argument in one of the community meetings that we had, it was an argument for multiple hours about the same thing with between 2 people in a room full of 50 people. It was um just like understanding those things really helped us be more intelligent about when it comes to, for example, getting donors, what is realistic as far as what we can promise our donors. And, so honestly, I always recommend when people are starting businesses in emerging markets, don't ask for investment or foundation funding unless you go to the country first and you really understand the project management challenges, you understand how quickly or slowly things move. I think the project management challenges were absolutely so unbelievable. Before Water Collective, I worked in a project management capacity in like a really like very fast-paced environment. So I was really used to that. But when I went to Cameroon, it was so much more intense. Like, for example, there was this one community where very hard to get to. The roads were incredibly bad. It's called the Kanjo Bajo. And we had to get pipes delivered from Douala to Kanjo Bajo. And there was only one person available to drive the pipes from Douala to Kanjo. And his wife had malaria. So he had to take care of her. So our project was delayed by 2 months because there was no other driver. So what ended up happening was some of the community members just walked and like carried pipe after pipe to just get it into the village. So just like things like that, where me being a project manager in the US, I would have never thought to find an alternative solution like that. I didn't suggest it. The community members were like, no, we'll just walk and get it. So like that was something they suggested. So, culturally, things like that, it was so interesting to see just like the difference in problem solving and being exposed to that. And in turn, it just helped me be a bit more creative about how I went about problem solving too.
Definitely. I can tell you lived in Cameroon. The fact that you mentioned that, that's a very, very good example. And I do see that playing out in real time, especially the
Yeah.
argument part. We can go for this, literally.
Yeah.
You can literally go for this. So
Yeah.
I think that's really a good advice for the listeners as well, just to really go there first, learn about it, then before you have, you're coming from the right place as well, right? You really understand what you're getting into. So pretty cool. I know you want to just talk about a little bit of some challenges that you faced, and I think you already highlighted on some of them. Were there any like pitching your idea? I think once you started, maybe let me say 2 years into it or 3 years into it, what were the other challenges that you faced in terms of scaling? And I just also want to mention, like, going to India, how was that like, expanding Water Collective across Cameroon and going to India as well?
Yeah. Honestly, scaling in Cameroon, it wasn't as difficult as we thought, just because we started from such a difficult place. We started in communities where the roads were so bad. Like I was saying, there's only one driver that could like drive these pipes, so that when we scaled and expanded to new communities, we were able to be like, okay, we can't pick communities. We can't have all of our projects be communities with bad roads. We need to pick some projects that make it a little easier for us. So we looked a lot at like roads and how easy is it to transport material. So it gave us very good knowledge to be more selective about who we worked with. Um, and honestly too, like another thing that I haven't talked about was being really selective about the local NGO partners that you work with. That was a huge learning lesson for us. That's big. So that's something that requires its own rigorous interviewing process. And no matter how well networked a local NGO is, they can be so different when it comes to meeting deadlines and doing things on time. So that was like a really stressful learning experience for us too. But honestly, scaling in Cameroon was easy, because I think that when you, at least in my experience, the people that we met in Cameroon locally from an NGO perspective, everyone kind of knew each other. So if we wanted to expand somewhere, it wasn't that hard to get those connections and to find the partners to do that with.
Mm-hmm.
And then, which was nice because the country is very welcoming, and they just made our jobs easier when it came to that. When it came to India, it was really interesting because it was almost like we had to start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Completely different country as far as like, I think that in Cameroon, I felt that the culture was more collectivist, where people were made decisions as a community. But in India, people were more individualistic, where they made decisions for their homes. They didn't care what the rest of the community was doing. So we had to almost change the way that we approached our water systems, and how we crafted our community meetings, how we crafted our maintenance agenda. We had to change all that to adjust to the cultural nuances of India. So it was a little difficult in the beginning to kind of switch our brains a little bit for that, but it was an interesting exercise and we learned a lot from it.
That's amazing. I'm guessing India too is really big too. Like just to even take what area to begin with and to do that
Mm-hmm.
research. I think that's a lot of work by itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Definitely. Thankfully, we had a connection to an organization in like a local NGO in India that helped us. So they already had like a couple of communities ready to go. So that made it a lot easier. That's what I always recommend to anyone like going into emerging markets. Like, don't think that you're going to come from the outside and you're going to like handpick a community. Definitely find local partners that have already spent months, if not years, doing the background research on those communities. It's going to make your life a lot easier.
sense. That makes perfect sense. And I think you were recognized by Forbes, right, for your work at Water Collective, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it's an official stamp that you actually did an amazing work and you actually got really understood what the people needed, and you got to a point where that recognition was needed, and I think it's validated. So um, that's incredible. And now to
Thank
go
you.
into you're welcome. Now to go into the consulting company you started. I actually just used to read some of your blog posts, and I'm just like, honestly, you have to pay for people to listen to read your blog posts because it's really good. But if you can, just give us how it's structured and why you studied, which you kind of alluded in the beginning, but and what has been the experience so far with Ascent.
Yeah. So yeah, so for me, I think that I was really privileged that I was able to build my first two businesses in New York. And New York has a lot of resources, it has a lot of smart people. So it helped me build my business faster. But at the same time, the times when I had to rely on my own resources by looking online to understand how to do something, I had to filter through a lot of bad information. And when I started Ascent Strategy, I was thinking through how can I help people that are in that process so that they don't have to go through so much bad information. There's very little information out there actually about how do you take an idea and actually make money off of it, where it's like 1, 2, 3, that's how you do it. Very hard to find information like that. Very hard to find information that actually works. So I release like free blog posts every single week because I'm kind of like, even if someone doesn't work with me, I want to be able to contribute to so that people can access good information from someone who actually was either self-funded or I had friends and family investment, because not all of us get angel investments or VC money. Only like 1% of startups do, which is like so funny because Forbes, Entrepreneur Magazine, they write their articles as if you're VC or angel invested business, and that's not the case for 99% of people. So, I write to help self-funded founders who need to know, like, I only have me. I only have my resources. I'm bootstrapping here. How do I make money off of this? And yeah, so I focus mostly on what I teach is not only do I provide coaching to entrepreneurs so that they basically have a C-suite level person helping them build their business, but I focus mostly on teaching people how to do marketing and sales, because that's the thing not many of us know. People think that they know what marketing is because they know how to post something on Instagram. But if you have a really good marketing and sales plan, it's going to be way more strategic and emotional, like emotion driven content. Like there's a reason why with my content, when people read it, they email me, they reach out to me to, work with me, because I am writing my content from a sales plan perspective. Not many entrepreneurs understand that there's a big difference between just writing content, and also there's a difference between writing sales conversion based content. So I teach entrepreneurs how to do that because I think that's the biggest skill and strength that you need to understand. Because I tell people, look, if you're starting a new business, you're not a real business until you make at least 20K in sales. And if you don't know how to sell enough to make 20K in sales, then you need to learn that. And that's what I work with entrepreneurs on, is just like getting them up to that stage of the scale up phase so that they can prove to themselves, this is a real idea. I've had 20K in sales. Now, how do I get it to the point that this is a business where I can work full time on it? So yeah, it's been wonderful. I mean, I work mostly with women entrepreneurs. I do have some male entrepreneurs that I work with as well, but it's been awesome to just help people recognize how powerful they are, that their startup ideas are valid, that a lot of people don't have the confidence in the beginning, where they think like, oh, it's just like a small idea, I don't know if it's going to work. But through our work together, we help them find that confidence. So yeah,
I really love the content. Honestly, I think when I read your blog, it's like so succinct, and it's like gets straight to the point. At the same time, it's motivational. I don't know if you know that. It's very inspiring as well. Even though
thank you so much.
It can be a little bit, oh, you need to learn this, but it comes off like, this is how you do it. So it's amazing. It's really good.
Thank you so much.
How do people sign up for it? I'll definitely include a link in the episode, but do people just find you on LinkedIn, or do you?
Yeah, so my website is ascent-strategy.com, ASCENT. I have a weekly Friday email that I send that has links to the weekly blog posts I release. In order to sign up for that, you just go to ascent-strategy.com/weekly action plan, or if you go on the website, you'll see prompts everywhere to sign up for the emails. But yeah, that's how you access that content.
Amazing. Do you work with women entrepreneurs just in the US or across the world?
Across the world.
Cool.
Yeah.
For everyone listening, you can apply. That's pretty cool. And just to kind of maybe summarize here, so we've talked about, the bank that you started 19, you went to Water Collective, started in Cameroon, expanded to India. Through that experience, you started Ascent Strategy, where you blog and you help specifically female entrepreneurs to kind of really build something that they really care about and is reflective of what they're passionate about. And what is next for you? You think?
Yeah, totally. So for me, one thing that has been front of mind is just how do I make more of an impact? I think that even though with my current business, it's a for-profit business, I'm always thinking about how do I take what I'm capable of teaching and just give it to more people. So I think for me, in the US, like the Black Lives Matter movement had like a big impact on me. So I'm actually going to be releasing a scholarship program. So I have a program called Sales Mastery, which is my like core program where I teach everything I know about marketing and sales. And yeah, I'm opening a scholarship program where I am letting women who identify as Black, Indigenous, person of color to get access to my program for free, so that if they are a new business owner, they're starting a business from scratch, they can learn how to build the business the right way so that they make money off of their idea right away. So I'm super excited for that.
That's amazing. I'd love to have you again to talk about that.
Totally.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'd love to just talk
Thank you.
on that. So sorry, just two more questions. The one is,
Yeah.
so how do we help entrepreneurs develop the right mindset to get into, to actually not just talk about the businesses? And you probably just mentioned it already, but what is that phase of like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't have the motivation. I don't think I'm the right person. And how do you really make people to realize that this is something feasible? This is something that, like, is it a pep talk? Is it finding people that share the same values and are proactive? What can you?
Yeah. So what I always say is, don't start a business unless you're your number one customer. You have to know whatever product or service you're selling very intimately, to the point that, kind of like with my first business, I knew the customer so well because it was me. Like, I was the person dealing with the pain point every day. And honestly, when I see entrepreneurs not confident about their product or service, it's because they don't have that level of intimacy with their product or service. They don't know their customers well enough in order to sell their product or service with confidence. Because think about it, if you know, oh my gosh, I need to sell t-shirts to women because I have this problem every single day. If you experience it every single day, you're going to be so confident and excited to release that product. You don't have that confidence if you don't understand your customer at all. So, for me, if there's a lack of confidence that you're feeling with your business and you don't feel motivated, I would actually ask yourself the question, am I the right person to start this business?
Definitely.
Am I better to start something else that's a bit closer to me?
That's definitely a very good insight. I think I have to ask myself that question sometime. Well, so the last question, what's your favorite Cameroonian dish?
Ooh, that's a good question. I like fufu.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. But like the fufu that's like I think it's corn based or something. It's like yellow. Is
Yeah,
that
fufu
what that
corn.
is?
The fufu corn, because there's water fufu, cassava fufu as well.
Yeah.
You eat it that with okra or with the jama jama. Do you know jama vegetables, right?
Yeah, the jama jama. Yeah,
Jama jama.
yeah.
That's good. That's awesome. That's my dad's favorite as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Fine.
I can eat that all day.
All day, exactly. Just
Oh wait, another one I like a lot. Have you ever had it's like a dish where it's spaghetti, but they put the spaghetti in eggs,
yes.
and it's like a pancake and there's like soup under it or something. That's really good.
Yeah, that's really good. I think it has different names in different dialects, but I completely get what you're saying. It's really, really tasty. It's really
Yeah, I like that one.
makes a lot of sense. I hope when you got to Cameroon, you didn't hear a lot about Nigerian jollof versus Ghanaian jollof. That's a whole debate.
No, I haven't.
But